let's start with our movie puzzle. Wait. Are we gonna get it without even doing any clues? No! Alright, we actually have to play it. Mars Attacks is one of those tough ones because there were so many people in that movie, but it was a while ago, so I don't remember it. Hope Van Dyne, the Wasp, so that would be Evangeline Lilly. How do we spell Evangeline? Something like that? Ugh. Oscar winner, Oscar winner. Alright, this one's easy. Blade Runner 2049, 3 names on a de Armas. Social Network. Let's see. A-N-D-R-E. I'm guessing Andrew Garfield. Ooh. I don't know who else was in that except Jim Caviezel. It was also 20 years ago, so I don't know. Alright, and then we got Blade Runner 1982. So it's not Harrison Ford. It's not Edward James Olmos. What's her name? Daryl Hannah? Enos Delmar? I think that's... What's his name's character from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Not John Turturro or George Clooney, but the third guy. He also played the leader in Captain America. Then The Conjuring, 2013. Guessing Vera Farmiga. Okay. Dang. We need more clues. I don't know, I might be stuck on this one. And Daryl Hannah, I'm not 100% sure here, but Vera Farmiga is the only one I can think of from the Conjuring movies. I mean, the main characters are her and Patrick Wilson, and Patrick Wilson doesn't fit in there. Hmm. I'm thinking these are both consonants. Yeah, and this isn't going to be Jesse Eisenberg. The last name isn't long enough. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. Um, I have a feeling I know who that is. Captain America, Brave New World. Tim Blake Nelson. Okay, it's not him. So I don't know who this is. Yeah, we might just... Alright, we're looking stuff up. Mars Attacks. Yeah, I'm cheating. So I'm guessing it's Nick something? I'm cheating, I'm still not even getting everything. Let's see if Rad gets it right. D-O-B-R-E. Rad saves the day. Oh, it was Dakota Johnson, The Social Network, not Andrew Garfield. That's part of what was throwing me off. I still don't know if I would have gotten Nina Dobrev. Enos Del Mar was Heath Ledger? I wonder if that was in the Brothers Bloom? No. What am I thinking of? Oh, is his character in Brokeback Mountain? Okay. now I'm curious. Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Tim Blake Nelson's. His name was Delmar. So I was in a ballpark, we'll say. Then Monica Bellucci was in The Passion of the Christ. Okay. I watched that once, like, around the year it came out, and yeah, have no interest in watching it again. Yeah, Dakota Johnson for The Social Network is a deep cut because she was literally in one scene, I think. I don't think she was in the movie past that, but it's literally the scene where Justin Timberlake wakes up and she's the co-ed that he had slept with at Stanford, I want to say. And let's see. Anna Paquin for Academy Award. Yeah, she was one of the youngest winners. And then 1990, Brenda Frickner? No idea. Okay. She won an Oscar? Really? 1990? I did not know she won. She won it for Best Supporting Actress for My Left Foot. Wow. Yeah, I watched. This is the one Daniel Day-Lewis starred in it. Yeah, and he won Best Actor in a Lead Role for it. We're learning all types of new stuff today. Alright. Yeah. I kind of cheated, but Rad was able to bring home the dub for us. Rad is clutch. Yep. Also, go Pats. That is from Rad, that is not me. I do not care who wins. I don't think I've watched any of the playoff games. My work here is done. Gotta go make dinner. I'll be back. Alright. Hope you make something good for dinner. We'll be here. I have some thoughts and ideas of stuff that I want to change about what we've outlined so far. Spaghetti and meatballs. Nice. I just finished up my meal prep not too long ago. I did creamy pasta with blackened chicken. And I liked the way it came out, so I was happy about that. Yum. Yeah. Yeah, it was good, and it's fairly easy to make, so that's always a plus. Alright. So, first things first, in our kind of first sequence here, I want to start it a little bit earlier. Because we want to establish the story world and that our characters are witches. But a couple other things as well. So I think we're actually going to start. One too many R's in there. We're going to start with Margaret at her farm/garden using magic. Because I want, especially at the start, to have them be using magic to connect with the earth. And this helps establish that she knows how to use magic. So literally, first thing we're going to see is her using magic. Then we're going to have Helene show up. Margaret hides that she's using magic. So we also established right off the bat she can use magic, but if she's hiding it, especially from Helene, then that tells the audience that Helene does not know that she can use magic. Because a lot of this stuff is going to be about establishing where these characters are as quickly and succinctly as possible. So then Helene tells Margaret to come with her. Yeah. And then we get into Margaret and Helene go to a lake short distance from the settlement. Yeah. And then the rest of this plays out how we have it. Alright. Yeah, that's one of the changes I needed to make right off the bat, because I think that helps establish some things quicker and cleaner. Alright, then for our inciting incident scene, I got changes for this too. So it's going to start off more or less the same. So we catch up with Margaret. She's by herself. When we catch up with her, she's reluctant to use her magic. And so she's incapacitated and isn't able to heal herself, but she's rescued. She wakes up, she finds herself in the care of a healer of a Native American tribe. She wants to leave. She thinks having her there is a danger to the tribe. Okay, this is where I need to change some stuff. Yeah, she wants to leave. She thinks having her there is a danger to the tribe, but she's physically incapable. She needs to rest and heal. So then, as she's resting, she finds Helene approaching the tribe. Margaret is obviously shocked to see her, or someone who looks just like her. Yeah, Helene still would not recognize Margaret. Helene goes to meet with the leaders of the tribe to warn them of the hunters. See if they want to establish. Yeah. And then this is an idea I came up with, I think, after last week's stream, that I wanted to use, because I was thinking about, like, if they're interacting with Native Americans for the first time, they probably aren't able to translate their language very well. So being able to have the tribe use a witch to connect the minds of Helene and whoever she's talking with would be another instance of showing how magic is used more in this world. And I think it would be cool, and I don't know that I've seen it specifically done, but I'm sure there has been instances somewhere in fiction history of people using magic to translate communications. So I'm thinking the one kind of question I had that I wasn't totally sure of is how we would have Margaret seeing Helene. And the only kind of solution I could come up with is maybe like everything's just outside. That it's spring, everything's warm, they don't need to take her inside to rest, she can just rest as she is. So everything's just kind of outside in the open. Yeah. So would this work with fall? Because if we're up in the northeast, which I think we are. Yeah, I think like late summer, early fall. Yeah. Okay. Um, so Helene meets with the leaders of the tribe. They tell her they need time to consider. We do not have Helene and Margaret interact. So if they're not interacting, she won't have to worry about revealing anything about herself, but she is unsure if Hermione's playing tricks on her because she's recovering. Um, Helene obviously wouldn't recognize her. But we do want something that convinces Margaret that Helene, yes. Sage! Hi, hello, welcome in. How you doing? Yeah, and then I think this is the thing. Maggie and Helene are doing good. Well, eventually they'll be good. Right now things are going to be getting very rough for them. Um, yeah, so we have kind of our first scene establishing a lot of stuff, and then we have this is the next scene we're kind of laying out of the second time their paths cross. Um, the attack by the hunters, because it kind of is the same of the first scene, but I think the next scene that I have an idea kind of for will eventually address that. We'll get to it. So then Margaret can't do anything because she's incapacitated. Yes. Alright. Let's think about this. So we have both of them there. Helene doesn't pay much mind to her because she's on a mission. Margaret's incapacitated, so she's not able to talk to her. But then we have an attack. So what happens to each of them in the attack? Helene at this point wants to fight them. Margaret can't do anything. So what do the people in the tribe do? Well, I mean, the hunters are really just there for Helene. Okay, so Helene offers to help the tribe, but the tribe tells her to run. So she runs away. The hunters show up looking for her. Margaret is can't do anything, fading in and out. So I don't know that it would necessarily be like an attack or a fight, but I think the hunters would like go through and just kind of strong arm their way into searching the area. Okay, so that night, we're going to change this a little bit. That night, the hunters arrive, searching for Helene. So hiding, Helene offers to help the tribe, but the tribe tells her to run away. Margaret can't do anything. There doesn't need to be a comma there. Alright, the hunters strong-arm their way through the camp, searching for her, Helene, trampling things as they go. And they eventually leave. And then they leave thinking they have a trail on Helene. So then the next morning, in the aftermath, Margaret searches but finds no sign of Helene or where she went. But she saw Helene, or someone she thinks looks like her. Because she was incapacitated, there's still a question of it to her. We can delete that. Alright. So, days later, fully rested and healed, Margaret sets off. On her own again. We do need a comma there. Alright. So this is our inciting incident, the sequence of it. So if we're going through our plot structure, 1, 2, and 3 are kind of that first sequence. Inciting incident, we just laid out. So, event from the outside is Helene showing up in Margaret's life again, and that causes her to take action. Because if she knows Helene is alive, she wants to try to find her again. So, I think these next two are going to kind of go together with what I kind of have in mind for our next sequence. So the desire is, it's there at the end of the inciting incident, but we need to make it explicit. Her desire basically is she wants to find Helene again. If this person is the same one she knew, she wants to find her. But how's she going to do it? She has no way of finding her. So what are we calling this? Desire and allies. Actually, just ally for this moment, because okay. And then, of course, our ally is someone who helps to find the hero and assists them with overcoming opponents and reaching their goals. The ally can have their own goal. I'm actually thinking for this person that they're going to play the role of the ally and that they will help Margaret kind of start on her journey, but they're going to end up being a fake ally opponent. So later on we're going to reveal they were not actually an ally. And this is also something important. The ally should contrast the hero. Well, all the characters should contrast the hero in some way, but specifically the allies. Okay. So I need to figure out when and where this takes place. But the basic idea is we're going to catch up with Margaret shortly after. Yeah, shortly after, but I think just how long it would take her to travel on her own in this time period. Yeah, it would be maybe weeks later, depending on weeks later. So that's kind of our when. So we need to figure out where. I was way off. So Margaret goes to see an old acquaintance, another witch, a seer. So one thing I found myself doing as I was thinking about the story is I wasn't embracing our characters' abilities to use magic, and magic being a useful tool in this world. So I want to make sure whenever we can, when it fits with the characters, that we're going to be able to use magic and kind of expand that world. So, yeah, I want to use a seer. So this ties into our previous scene. So Margaret has seen or thinks she's seen Helene, but doesn't know where she went. So she decides, I can't find her on my own. I'm gonna seek help. So she goes to see a seer. So we need to add new character. And figure out who this character is going to be. I kind of want to go left instead of going right with kind of what I initially imagined in my mind when I think of seer characters. Because in like the ones that come to mind are like in Harry Potter. What's her name? I can never say her name properly. Professor. But she teaches divination. She's kind of an oddball older lady. Kind of because she can see different times, she's not as tethered to current reality, right? Because I think that's what they're going with that. And then a lot of characters I can think of that play the role of kind of being able to see the future tend to be a certain archetype. So I want to go kind of away from that, if possible. So rather than an older lady, we'll go a younger lady, because we can. Go looks early 20s. So they're less, they stand out less. And the other thing I don't want to do is what they did with their seer character in Agatha All Along. They had her hiding in plain sight as a fortune teller, so obviously it's been done before because it was done on Agatha All Along and probably other places, so we don't want them to do that. So how else could she be hiding, and what else would she be doing? Then I feel like this is someone Margaret would have come into contact with in the past. So if she's English, maybe this here is Irish, Scottish, Welsh. Yeah, I'm bad at capitalizing, it's fine. And so the other thing that I talked about earlier with I think she's going to end up being a fake ally opponent. I think we're going to find out later that one of the ways she's been able to hide is that she's been helping the hunters find witches. Um, the reason she's doing this is they found her and gave her an ultimatum. They're going to burn her at the stake, or she helps them whenever they come knocking. But we will not reveal this until much later. I think we go Irish. So, where did early Irish immigrants come from? I don't know. Where did the Irish immigrants come from? Um, First settled in America. That's... Uh, no, we don't want AI mode. Alright, so colonial times, Irish population was second only to English. Okay, so they settled predominantly in middle colonies, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. And then the Carolinas. Alright, I like the idea of the Carolinas. Somewhere in the Carolinas. Still gotta figure out some stuff about her, but I feel like this at least gives us a baseline. Alright, so weeks later, Margaret travels down to see an old acquaintance, another witch, a seer. Um, Asks her for help in finding Helene. Okay, so would she come out immediately and say that? Or say she's looking for someone? Yeah, I think she would come right out and say it. So, Seer surprise, heard the hunters found Helene and burned her. Margaret tells her she saw Helene. Um, the seer probes, finds out she was ill. Might not have been real. The seer tells Margaret that if Helene was alive, the hunters would be after her. So it would be dangerous for Margaret. If I type the words that I say. So Margaret doesn't relent. She has to find out the truth. But the seer asks if Helene would even recognize her. Puts Margaret on her back foot. Okay, yeah, so this is something I'm trying to get better with imagining scenes and writing um, dialogue between characters is finding the conflict and shifting the balance of power within the scene. So Margaret comes in with a desire. The ally has to intersect that and challenge her. So I think at that point, Margaret goes for broke. Hmm. Yeah. So the seer follows up with what she thinks would happen if Helene knew she ran away. Okay. Um, let's take a little break. Um, I found a game for chat to play if you want while I'm away, so I'll put that up. We'll see if this works. Um, yeah, I'm going to step away for a minute and I will be back. And we'll pick up outline and stuff. Alright, I have returned. Alright, so let's go back over the scene. So, weeks later, we have Margaret goes to see an old acquaintance. Somewhere in the Carolinas, we're thinking. Another witch, a seer. Margaret asks for help in finding Helene. Seer surprised, heard the hunters found Helene and burned her. Margaret tells her she saw Helene. The seer probes, finds out Margaret was ill and might not have been real. The seer tells Margaret that if Helene was alive, the hunters would be after her, so it would be dangerous for Margaret. Margaret doesn't relent. She has to find out the truth. Seer asks Helene if Helene would even recognize her since Margaret changed her face. That puts Margaret on her back foot. Seer follows up by asking Margaret what she thinks would happen if Helene knew she ran away. All these questions, Margaret doesn't really have an answer. She just has to find Helene. She has to know if it was really her. Okay. Yeah, I think the seer would. Seer gives in. And agrees to see Margaret. Agrees to see for Margaret. Help Margaret. Whatever we want to say. Okay, so one of the things we talked about is allies should contrast the hero. So the way we get the seer to give in is by having her contrast Margaret. So because they knew each other from before, as the seer, she would do, she had the chance to find her lost love. Not in those words. We're not going to be that tacky, but to basically say, if you were in my shoes and you had the chance to find this person that you actually lost, would you take no for an answer? Right? And because the seer lost this other person, yeah. Okay. Then we would go through the ritual. I'm just writing the ritual for now because that's something probably have to look into, research, figure out what it would look like, what it would come across as. But there are definitely some things we know would need to be in there. We want to foreshadow trials that Margaret's going to have to end up going through. We could reveal more of Margaret's past. But it would ultimately have to finish with um, direction or a clue for how to find Helene. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we can't foreshadow Margaret's trials yet because we don't know exactly what those are going to be, but we know she's going to have obstacles she's going to have to overcome. We can reveal more of Margaret's past. If there's more things we want to get into. Which again is something that is kind of a placeholder in case we need it. Like if we need to set something up for later when we get to it, if we haven't set it up somewhere else, we can use this. But ultimately it has to result in Margaret getting a clear direction of this is where you need to go in order to find Helene. So the obvious question is, what is that direction or clue? So the first thing that comes to mind would be sending her to the new group that she's a part of. Right, the Dianic, is that it? Yeah, the Dianic group of witches. Oh yeah, I did put that in here before. Ally or fake ally opponent could be a diviner, or a seer as we have. So we have that in our character section. Okay, that's separate. Okay, we already got that stuff. Yeah, I think that's where we need to go next. What do we want to call it? Home base? Yeah, location, fine. Major! Hi, Major. Hello. How is your Sunday going? I hope you're not an icicle. You just woke up from a nap? Nice. Yeah, naps on cold days are A plus. I have been outlining stuff. We're making some progress. Phone is about to die. Let me hop on. All right. Yeah, no worries. Will be here. Okay. All right. So we have her desire. She wants to find Helene again, and we established an ally who ends up being a fake ally opponent. Hmm. Now, where do we go next? Hey, Rad's back as well. You got spaghetti and meatballs. Nice. Um, yeah, trying to figure out where our character goes next. Because we have kind of a couple different paths we can take. Hmm. That is correct. Major is always right. And yes, Major Wage is super dope. Okay. Major, are you back at your computer? Yes. Okay. Um, we just have a lot of stuff since from last week and so far tonight. So I wanted to kind of go over that and catch you up. Because I know Thursday you had to take off early. Um, yeah, this might help me get back in the right headspace too, so that's always a good thing. All right. So I added a little more to our initial sequence, but generally it's gonna stay the same. Margaret and Helene, they go to the lake. We see the obvious relationship between them, but the hunters show up, take Helene. Margaret runs away. Sees the Bernie at the stake, but decides to change her reflection. So then Thursday, our second sequence is kind of, all right, we've established the world, we've established our two main characters. So what's going to set Margaret on a path to her ultimate goal? So our inciting incident, what's going to propel the story forward? So we have, years later, we're going to catch up with Margaret in the wilderness. Her clothes are ragged. She's been living on her own, off the land. She's reluctant to use magic. She's incapacitated somewhere, somehow.
I like this one.
Hi, hello, welcome in. Kokoroflow124, thanks for the follow. Where was I? So Margaret is incapacitated. She's either injured while living in the wilderness or has some sort of illness, and she's not able to heal herself. But while she's incapacitated, she is rescued. Hi, hello, welcome in. And then she wakes up to find herself in the care of a healer of a Native American tribe. We're going to be in the springtime here, so everything is kind of outside. They're in the open. Because I need to have her to be able to see some things that if she's like in an enclosed space, she might not be able to see. So when Margaret kind of wakes up, she's still groggy, but she wants to leave. Because she thinks she's a danger, but like I said, incapable of leaving and needs to rest and heal. Kokoro Flow. Let me know if I'm saying that wrong, or if you want to be called something else. Rewriting a teleplay for a K-drama. Ooh, nice. Yeah, we had someone last week who was writing an American version of a anime they liked. Okay, saying it well, cool. Yeah, so Margaret needs to heal. She needs to rest. As she's resting, she sees Helene approaching the tribe. She's obviously shocked to see Helene or someone who just likes her. She obviously thinks it can't be her because she saw her die. Obviously, Helene doesn't recognize Margaret because she changed her face. But the reason Helene's there is to meet with the leaders of the tribe to warn them about the hunters and see if they want to establish alliance. She's a representative of a group of witches we can get to later. And then one cool thing thought of is tribe using a witch as a way to translate between Helene and whoever she's talking to. Leaders of the tribe listen, but need time to consider her offer. Watching from a distance, Margaret can tell Helene is not the same person she once knew. And she's unsure if her mind is playing tricks because she's recovering. As we said before, Helene doesn't recognize her. She just thinks this kind of sick person she sees is just another quote-unquote explorer who got lost in the woods and had to be rescued. I do want to figure out something that convinces Margaret that Helene is who she thinks it is. Kind of initial things that come to mind are like some sort of necklace or something like that to just give her enough to be like, I think that really is her. Um, Before the tribe can come back with their answer, the hunters arrive searching for Helene. Um, Hiding, Helene offers to help the tribe, but the tribe tells her to run away. Margaret, still incapacitated, isn't able to really do anything. The hunters strong arm their way through the camp, searching for her, trampling things as they go. Um, but thinking they have a trail on Helene, they end up leaving. So then, the next morning, in the aftermath, Margaret tries a search, but she can't find any sign of Helene or where she went. And so she can do nothing but rest, and so days later, fully rested and healed, Margaret sets off on her own once more. So that's kind of our inciting incident, is having Margaret see Helene again and be propelled into just having to be able to find her. So, with that desire, she goes to see an ally. Initially, I'm thinking this might be in the Carolinas, but weeks later, Margaret goes to see an old acquaintance, another witch, a seer. Margaret asks her for help in finding Helene. Since Margaret has no direction in where Helene might have gone, she's kind of trying anything she can. The seer is surprised to hear this from Margaret, but she heard the hunters found Helene and burned her. Margaret tells the seer that she saw Helene with her own eyes. As the seer kind of questions her about it, she finds out that Margaret was ill and says, oh, it could have been a hallucination. And also warns her if Helene was alive, the hunters would be after her, so it would be dangerous for Margaret to try to find her. But Margaret doesn't relent. She has to find out the truth, if the person she saw really was Helene. And the seer asks Helene if Helene would even recognize her, because she changed her face, and that kind of puts Margaret on her back foot. And then the seer kind of presses, follows up asking Margaret what she thinks would happen if Helene knew that she ran away when she was captured by the hunters. So Margaret really doesn't have an answer. She just has to find Helene. She has to know if it was really her. So Margaret kind of asks the seer what she would do if she had the chance to find her lost love, the seers, that Margaret knows about from long ago. So they're old acquaintances. They would have knew each other from way back. And yeah. And so that is what has the seer give in and agrees to help Margaret find Helene. We go through the ritual. Gotta figure out what that looks like and what it's going to be, but we'll get there when we get there. But some things that need to be kind of revealed or that I want to set up is we can foreshadow Margaret's upcoming trials and some of the stuff that she'll have to go through in order to find Helene. We can reveal more of Margaret's past if there are things that we need to reveal before some other story element that we want to have later, but ultimately needs to set up a direction or clue for how to find Helene. And so what I came up with is the seer gives Margaret enough information to search for the Dianic Witches' location. And that's the group that Helene joined, because we found this when I was looking through witch stuff on somewhere. I think it was on Wikipedia. So there's different types of witches, is what we were looking through. And there are Dianic type. Um, they're named after the Roman goddess Diana, who is the goddess of hunting. These witches also use magic to fight back against oppression. So I figured that was very fitting for um, who Helene becomes after our first scene. And so I think after this, yeah, we have Margaret go and confront the Dianic witches, but I don't think she finds Helene there. Ah, it's a lot of yapping. I usually don't talk that much. Um, yeah, so that's kind of the two sequences that we outlined last time and this time. Major redeemed a major wellness check. Major, how are you doing? I hope you are warm and comfy and you got something to drink. You're okay? You have something? Yeah. Um, doing alright. Weekend felt entirely too short. Yeah, and not looking forward to tomorrow either because we have first Monday of instruction tomorrow, so we're gonna have lots of students around on campus. So not looking forward to all the traffic and all the people that are gonna be around, but luckily I got Tuesday at work from home, so that'll be help me kind of throttle down a little bit. But I did get my meal prep done, got everything cleaned up. You get to work from home on Friday? Nice. Yeah, initially when they told me I was going to have a 4-1 schedule, I was trying to figure out what day would be best to work from home. Um, and like I kept going back and forth on different days, but Friday definitely seemed the most enticing because it was like, just get through Thursday and then work from home on Friday, and then you got the weekend. That would be nice. But they ended up being like, oh, you have you're Tuesday. You get to work from home on Tuesday. Like, all right. Which ends up working all right because like you go in Monday, you get through that day, work from home Tuesday, and then you just have 3 more days to get through for the week. So it kind of helps break it up a little bit. And Tuesday is the discount movie day at the theater, so if that matters. This is true. Priorities. Yeah. Um, Also, the Academy Award nominations came out Thursday morning. Um, the when they were released, I had seen 8 of the 10 movies nominated for Best Picture already. I try to see all 10 every year before the ceremony, and I ended up watching another one last night, so I'm out up to 9 out of 10 that I've seen. And the last one, like, I cannot find it anywhere, so hopefully it comes to the theater soon so I can see it. But surprisingly, of the 9 that I've seen, 6 of them are also on my top 10 of the year list, so I feel like they did better, in my opinion, of what my opinion of the best movies were, um, than they normally do, because it's usually like 1 or 2. Got some dancing dinos. Yeah, this past year kind of like was a sneaky good year for movies. Because I usually only have 1 or 2 movies that I give like a 4 out of 5 or higher on. And this past year, I think I gave like 4 or 5. So, yeah, it was very good year. This upcoming year, I think there are going to be a couple too. Okay. So, I don't know what to call this next section yet. Next section. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to write like something, anything, just get it down and then fix it later. It's fine. One of my favorite quotes is art is never finished, just abandoned. So just don't abandon it, just keep fixing it. So Margaret sets out to find Dianic witches. And hopefully Helene. Okay, so where are they? Something we have to figure out, and that'll kind of dictate when this happens. So Margaret, I'm going to say, is able to find them. But they're not inclined. Sometimes, like, when I'm trying to talk and write, this is probably bad for, you know, wanting to write something on a stream, but, like, I'll say the right thing and, like, leave out words when I'm typing it. Even when I'm not talking, I do that sometimes, as Major knows, because she's read some stuff and been like, I think you're missing a word here. So Margaret is able to find them, but they're not inclined to help her find Helene. They have one mission. Fight back against the hunters. Margaret isn't willing to join them. Okay, so why wouldn't she just wait there for Helene to show back up? Okay. Because I don't want to have the hunter show up again, just out of nowhere. Okay. Maybe it's just an outpost, not the main. We'll say HQ. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I want to dig deeper into that, just probably not tonight. Because I want to see if the next things make sense as well. So that kind of puts her at a dead end. At a dead end. Margaret is on her own. She searches, but has no luck until many years later. years later. Has Margaret changed her face again at this point? Don't know. I think that'll tie into what more exactly happens in the previous section. So one of the ways that I thought about for how Margaret could find her again. Yeah, Major, I think that's right. That if the hunters get too close, she would change her face, for sure. Because I think that's what propels her to do that in the first scene. Is she thinks the hunters were there for her, so they know what she looks like, so she changes it. So once they know what she looks like again and that she's a witch, then she would want to change her face again. So I don't know if this is a great idea, good idea, okay idea, or bad idea, but it's an idea. So we'll write it and maybe change it later. So far, most of what's happened has been probably late 1700s, maybe into the early 1800s. So I think this next section would be maybe mid to late 1800s. Yeah. Mid-late 1800s. So I need to think a bit more about what Margaret might be doing in that time, but Margaret finds that would have to be late 1800s if I want a photograph, right? It could be a drawing photographed. So I think by chance she's able to see in a newspaper either a drawing or photograph that might be Helene. And then Margaret chases down the lead. I think this leads her to San Francisco. I always default to San Francisco. I just do. I'll admit it. I just think it's a cool city because it has a lot of really interesting history. But also in this time frame, if you're thinking about the mid to late 1800s, you have the gold rush, so you have this huge influx of people going out to the West Coast. It is also the era that has, the idea of the Wild West, but that was really just like a decade or two. And then you also have an influx of Asian immigrants starting to come to the States as well. So I think it's an interesting time and place to focus in on. And I don't know if I've brought this up specifically before, but I think this is one of the places where we can bring in witches from different places. Because in the first section, we kind of stick more to our European witches, and then our Native American witches are kind of the two main groups that we focus in on. So I think the next set, we start dealing with kind of wider groups of witches coming in. And why Helene is in San Francisco would be to meet with some of the Asian witches coming in. So I think this is the section where Margaret and Helene would meet again for the first time since the beginning. And it would have to go very, very badly. Yeah. Yeah. Lost your stream sound, but it just might be on your headset. Oh, I might have been being quiet as well. Um, yeah, it looks to be working on my end, so it might be your headset. But if you can't hear me, you can't hear me saying that, so, okay, you got it back. I realized I was talking, saying things, and I was like, oh, she probably can't hear me, so I was about to type it in there, but you said you're back, so we're good. Okay. Yeah, I think this is might be close to quitting time for tonight. I think this is everything I've had in my head since last time. But yeah, we got some stuff done, fixed some stuff up from our previous sections, and we have kind of an idea of where we're going next. Yeah, I don't think Helene changes her face here, but rather after this section. Yeah. Like I said, at a certain point, kind of just throwing all your thoughts on the page, getting everything down, and then stepping away, getting fresh perspective, thinking about what you've already done and that can be improved, and things you want to do going forward. You know, it just kind of gets rid of everything that's on your brain, so you got free space to think about new stuff. So gotta start thinking about some new stuff between now and next stream, which should be on Tuesday. Um, yeah, we'll pick this up Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific is the targeted stream time. Um, yeah, so we will pick it up then. Let me check. Who's streaming? Alright. Yeah, Shay is streaming. She's playing Elden Ring. She's been stuck on a boss for like 7 hours. So we'll see if she's made any progress with it. Raid. Maybe? Did I do a raid wrong? Oh, it's backslash, not exclamation point. Snooze an ad because we're about to end stream. Okay, we made a raid. I can do things. Usually I'm just glad Major's around because she can usually help me with it. Yeah, we're gonna leave stream here for today. Thank you everyone who stopped by, hung out, all the things. Thank you to our new follower Kokoroflo. Good luck with what you're writing. And yeah, like I said, we will be back on Tuesday. Well, you figured it out before I could. Okay, cool. Yeah, I always forget which things are exclamation points and which stuff are slashes, but whatever, we got there. We're doing the thing, we're doing the raid. Gonna go bother Shay and see where she's at with Elden Ring. Thank you again for everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Boyfriend rules. Oh my god, 54! Thank you so much for the raid! How was your stream, bestie? I hope you had a good stream. Fuck, I fucked up. W blood proc. Shit, I didn't think you were gonna follow that up. That's my fault. Am I winning? Yes. Stop! You're a bitch. Shayna, dodge. Literally just dodge. Did you just tell our cats to get a job? Can you imagine? This isn't even close to how hard Orphan of Cost will be. That little douche will be so fun for you. Which game is he in? I hope you get some commissions for these ads. I do, Smooth. So thank you for watching ads.
A lord devoid of light.
This looks like the same boss you were fighting last time. Listen, but we got him down to literally, like, literally this much. Oh, that's the- oh, did it do it right though? Literally this close. This fucking close. Like, I believe in us that we can fucking do this. Oh, Bloodborne DLC, okay. Brandon, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Smooth. No more ads for you, Smooth. Thank you, Brandon. It's Elden Ring. It is Kozak. I'm doing much better this time, I promise. Panic rolling. I should need to stop that. Okay, 3 times you said. Oh wait. Stop. Stop. Get some help. Okay, fuck. I shouldn't have done that. 3 times, right? I don't know how to do these snake attacks. I'm scared. I can heal here. No, I pressed B. Please, 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 please. No, 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 I'm still alive. No, 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 no. I died of that. I died of that. I died of that. It's fine.
How shall I?
It is a Bloodborne boss. Guys, my heart's like pounding. Like I can taste it. I can taste the win. I can fucking taste it. We can do this. 7 hours, we got this. We got this. Smooth, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Fuck you! Oh, I'm gonna catch you. It's gonna be over for you. Maybe not this run, but it will be over for you. Okay, good job. Good. Can you hit him? Just for once in your life? Yes, dodge around him. Yes, that makes so much sense. This is like when I play Squirrel Girl, my acorns don't go towards the killers. Or not the killers, the people. Hi, Snow, how are you? Okay, yeah, go that way. Okay, I didn't press it another time. Well, I mean, I clearly did, but I didn't mean to.